Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks for dropping by the Horror Zone. I hope everyone's doing well. This being Friday the 13th week, of course this coming Friday will be Friday the 13th. It'll be our first Friday the 13th of 2020. The next one will be in November. But because of that, initially I was having a hard time figuring out what subject to cover for Friday the 13th. I've always done an annual video every Friday the 13th, probably for at least 8 years. So sometimes it gets a little difficult because I've covered so many subjects, what the next concept should be. But for today, I've decided to do several videos this week. Something I wasn't planning to do, but inspiration struck me. I did put on my Instagram and Facebook groups, as well as here on YouTube, I put out there, some asking fans of the channel and my Instagram and Facebook to send me some ideas, anything that they would want me to cover. A lot of people are saying favorite kills. I've already done that. I've had a couple of other interesting ideas and I'm debating on which one to do. But yeah, even in this video, if you guys want to send me some other ideas for the video that I'll be posting on Friday the 13th, put them down in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate that. For today's video, though, I thought I'd talk about something I've never talked about during Friday the 13th week. Friday the 13th, the television series. There was 3 seasons that ran between 1987 and 1990. Unfortunately, the series was canceled after the 3rd season, never really getting a proper conclusion. There wasn't really a finale to the series. It kind of canceled because the Christian right went after it, thinking it was promoting devil worship and Satanism and things like that. But during this 3-year run, this show had some really terrific, very scary episodes. And for Friday the 13th, I thought I'd list my top 13 episodes of the series. And yeah, it's a great series, and John D. LeMay, who played Ryan Dallion, was a real someone that I really just looked up to during the show. And some of what I talk about with each of these episodes will reflect why I identified with that character so much as a kid. So again, something different. I thought it would be fun. Not a lot of people talk about this series, and I think they should. So let's get right into it and start with number 13. Number 13 for me is The Prophecies Part 1 and Part 2, which aired as one episode and was the 3rd season premiere of the series. The episode deals with Mickey and Ryan traveling to a French village to help Jack stop a fallen angel from fulfilling 6 evil prophecies. In the episode, Ryan is turned into a servant of the devil, and the only hope he has is a young girl who believes in God's love. So yeah, The Prophecies. It was a very well done episode, dealing with Jack going to, I believe the town was called Mary-Mare, and it was in Paris. The Astaroth, played by Fritz Weaver, trying to bring these prophecies that these prophecies are going to come to be, and the devil is going to come back to Earth. It would be Ryan Dallion, John D. LeMay's character's last episode. Originally, it said that they were going to kill the Ryan character off, and he does die, but then he comes back as a small boy, not having any memory of what happened. It ties in with his brother dying when he was a kid, and him living with that guilt all of his life. Has a second chance at life at the end. But the loss of that character is why the episode isn't higher for me, because it is a great episode, but I hate the fact that he left the series. I thought Fritz Weaver was amazing in it as Astaroth. I thought, what happens to Jack at the beginning of the episode is very scary and compelling. There's some really horrific exorcism-style scenes in this, and really scary stuff. Number 12 for me is going to be Cupid's Quiver, which was part of the 1st season. This episode, Mickey and Ryan and Jack must track down an evil statue that causes men to kill the women that they love. This was the first episode I watched, and I happened to just catch it late one night, because when the show first premiered, it was on late. I believe it was on at 11 o'clock at night on Saturdays. And I just happened to catch this episode about this guy that uses this Cupid to make women fall in love with him, but then ends up, to fulfill the curse, he has to kill them. That's part of the curse. And I thought this was a really good episode. It established the characters of Ryan and Mickey for me really well, and I really liked them. And then I was fascinated by the vault, because I saw for the first time you know, that they get these antiques back and then they lock them away in this vault. And again, I think that's where the collector side of me came. I just thought it was kind of cool that there was no way to destroy these cursed objects. They had to house them somewhere, so they put them in this vault in the shop's basement, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, this is the first episode I watched, so it has a special place. Not my favorite episode, but I thought the Cupid statue was really cool, and I thought the episode was fun. Number 11 for me is going to be Vanity's Mirror, which is also aired during the first season. The story for this episode dealt with a girl who finds a compact mirror that has the power to make others adore her and uses the cursed object to seek revenge against her sister. This was another really dark episode that had a couple of different turns that I didn't think it would go, and it dealt with this outcast, this young girl named Helen, who's really ugly, and she has this beautiful sister who has, you know, this football varsity guy boyfriend, and and she finds this mirror and is able to, once she reflects it onto people's faces, again, very similar to Cupid's quiver, they fall in love with her, and then she ends up killing them to fulfill the curse. This is one of the first times they weren't able to find the cursed antique, and it would come back in another episode in season 2. It would show back up, but this was the first time that they weren't able to fulfill what they set out to do in getting the antique back into the vault. It didn't have the resolution that most of the episodes had up to this point. So yeah, it was a pretty impactful episode. And now the news, which aired during the second season. A story deals with a psychiatrist who secretly accounts her miraculous success rate to a unique antique radio that delivers cures and advice during the nightly news. I really like this episode. It's disturbing. There's a lot of disturbing imagery, especially, you know, at this asylum where these patients are being manipulated by this doctor who's using this radio. The whole asylum setting was very creepy, and I thought the radio was just a really interesting antique, and I love the way it sort of manipulated people. The Scarlet Cinema, which is another episode that aired during season 2. This one deals with a college student who dreams of becoming a werewolf and discovers an antique camera that will turn him into his favorite movie monster. I love this one just because I'm a huge fan of the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman, Universal Monster, and this one dealing with filmmaking, a film student who's obsessed with that movie and uses this camera to sort of bring the Wolfman to life, and then in return, after he kills X amount of victims, can become the Wolfman himself. I just love the whole concept of that and anything to do with werewolves. So yeah, this one is a lot of fun, and there's some terrific imagery. They do a really good job of like transitioning from color to black and white and actually using actual footage from the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman film. A lot of fun, great episode. Yeah, always been one of my favorites. Number 8 for me will be the Crippled Inside, which aired during the 3rd season. This one deals with a vengeful quadriplegic who discovers that she can regain control of her body with the help of a magic wheelchair. This was a hard episode. It starts with these guys attempting to rape this woman. She runs out into the street. She's hit by a car. She's quadriplegic because of it, and her mom takes her to a yard sale, and they discover this antique wheelchair. And when she sits in the wheelchair, it allows her spirit almost to move out of her body, and then she can walk, and she can also go after the people that did this to her. And if she kills all of them, she will be able to walk again. You're siding with this person that's actually killing these people because they're such horrible people. This is one of Johnny's strongest episodes. I really like Johnny being kind of on his own for the first time and having to deal with the ramifications of, you know, these antiques and what they can do. It's a really good episode, and I love the ending of this one. It's probably one of my favorite endings of any episode in the series. Number 7 for me is going to be Tales I Live, Heads You Die, which aired during the 2nd season. A reported trails of violent cult of devil worshippers calling people back from the dead with the help of a magic coin. This was a rough episode because it dealt not only with a coin that could bring people back from the dead, but it also is the episode where Mickey was killed for a short period of time. And this episode really impacted me greatly because, again, I was a young kid. I was about 14 when this episode aired. And there's a part of it where Mickey is dead. And, of course, throughout the episode, they're able to bring her back by using the same cursed coin. But it's a rough episode. It's brutal. I thought John DeLeMay did some of his best acting in this episode. Just his reaction to Mickey being dead and his fall out with Jack over what had happened. Probably one of the best scenes in the entire series, and like I said, John LeMay and the late great Chris Wiggins did a terrific job in those confrontation scenes. Season 3's The Long Road Home. Mickey and Johnny use a charm that transfers one person's mind into another person's body. It's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque, very creepy. Probably one of the creepiest episodes of the entire series. Steve Marner-Kay, who played Johnny, I think this is his strongest episode. He was fantastic in this, as was Roby, the Mickey character. They both did great, and I just love the situation they find themselves in this one. It was very different, where they got the antique back right away, and then the whole episode is really them trying to get away from these hillbilly, creepy men. It was just really, really well done. Excellent episode. Number 5 will be the episode Better Off Dead from Season 2. Mickey is captured by a deranged scientist who uses an antique silver syringe to extract brain fluids from prostitutes. This is probably one of the hardest episodes to watch. It dealt with a college friend of Mickey's coming to visit the store, and at the same time there's this man that's trying to cure this animalistic behavior in his daughter, and he kidnaps women and sort of experiments on them and like uses this magic syringe to extract fluid from them to put it into his daughter to calm her down. What ends up happening is the guy ends up kidnapping Mickey's friend, and it's a very disturbing episode of what happens to Mickey in this one and her friend, and it really bothered me as a kid and still bothers me when I watch it. I thought it was excellently acted, directed. The ending is heartbreaking. Number 4 for me will be the episode Pipe Dream from Season 1. A frustrated dreamer turns to the supernatural to achieve success using an ornate pipe to eliminate anyone who gets in his way. This deals with Ryan and his estranged father. Growing up, I had a really weird relationship with my dad. My parents divorced when I was really young, and I kind of had a love-hate relationship with my dad through most of my life. In fact, recently we just started becoming close again. But as a kid, I really identified with this episode because Ryan and his father are estranged. They don't see eye to eye. They argue all the time. And what he ends up finding out is that Louis Vondrady, the uncle that they got the antique store from, was really close with his dad, Ray, and gave him an antique pipe. And what Ray is doing is he's using this pipe to make himself successful by eliminating his competition. It's an amazing episode, and probably one of the most heart-wrenching endings of any episode in the series. But I really identified with it. Not only was I already a fan of the Ryan character and John DeLeMay in general, but also I was a fan of I identified with his relationship with his dad and how they didn't get along. They both loved each other but didn't know how to show it. And Michael Considine, who played Ryan's dad, Ray, did a really great job in it too. And yeah, the ending really is still emotional for me to watch. Number 3 for me will be the very first episode, The Inheritance. In this episode, Ryan, Dalian, and Mickey Foster inherit Vondrady antiques from their late uncle. Together with the help of Jack Marshak, they must track down cursed objects, the first being a demonic killer doll. Beginning of the episode, you're introduced to Louis Vondrady and how he broke the pact with the devil and lost his soul because he had already cursed everything and sold everything, but he tried to get out of the pact that he had made. And then when Mickey and Ryan inherit it from an estranged uncle they had never met, and then they also meet his antiques buyer, which was Jack Marshak. Mickey is in this position where she's about to get married. She wants to just sell the antiques and the store off to collect on the money. And Ryan wants to keep going with the store and everything. But once they find out that there are these antiques that are cursed out there, they all take it upon themselves to commit to going after them. And really just establishes all the characters really well. And I think it's a terrific kickoff to the entire series. Number 2 for me will be Scarecrow, which also aired during Season 1. Mickey and Ryan search for a cursed scarecrow that may be responsible for murder in a small rural town. Absolutely love this episode. I love the small town that Mickey and Ryan go to retrieve this scarecrow. There's some really creepy moments in this episode. There's a character named Marge Longacre who runs this little inn in town, but then you realize that she's kind of the mastermind behind the scarecrow and controlling the farm and the farmers that actually own it. She's the one that's kind of manipulating things and the way things happen. It's probably one of the main episodes that really made me like the Ryan character so much, because you see what his history was, and then you also see him bond with this young boy in the episode who has just lost his father from the Scarecrow has just killed his father, so he sort of bonds with this kid and everything. So I just thought it was really well done, and again, John D. LeMay is fantastic in it, as is Roby, and the actress that played Marge Longacre is still, I think, one of the creepiest characters in the entire series. She scared the shit out of me as a kid, and yeah, it's a terrific episode, and I still think one of the scariest ever made. And number one for me will be Season 1's Tales of the Undead. This is an episode where Ryan believes that a half-man, half-monster comic book hero has come to life and is responsible for the murder of a shopkeeper. And I grew up loving comic books. I was a dork and a nerd growing up, if those are the terms that people still use to this day, but in the 80s, that's what I was labeled as. And to see a character, again, John D. LeMay was in his 20s when he was playing on this show, and to see an adult being a comic collector, because this one deals with Ryan being an artist. You find out that he's really into art and he loves comic books. They kind of had peppered it in through a little bit of the stories prior, but this was one that focused solely on a comic book. And I just loved it, and I love the idea of a comic book, a cursed comic book that makes the owner turn into the character. It was really well done, and also you have the actor Ray Walston, a terrific character actor, and from movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He was also in My Favorite Martian. I mean, people would know him if they saw him. He was in Popeye with Robin Williams. But yeah, I just really love this episode because this was like the first episode that I really connected to Ryan with and knew that this is the guy that is making me love this show so much. And John LeMay is so great in this episode. It's really his quest to prove that this is what's going on. I love that they used comic panels in it when the Ferris is the name of the character that comes to life from Tales of the Undead. He's this giant robot, and I just thought it was really cool, and they really did it well. And I love the ending of the episode. It's very heartbreaking, but also just excellently executed, and can't say enough great things about this episode. So that is it, Philippines. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I absolutely love this series. I definitely recommend people giving it a chance. I'm sure it's available to buy these on Amazon. I don't know if they stream this series anywhere. It used to be on the Sci-Fi Channel a long time ago, and that's how I ended up seeing a lot of the episodes I missed taping when I was a kid. And you know, if they had gone on, I heard the rumor was that the last episode, if they had done like a finale, the last object they were going to get was Jason's mask. So I think they were going to try to bring it full circle at some point. But yeah, Friday the 13th, the series. So you got Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3. They're all fantastic. I absolutely love this show. I'm so glad that I was introduced to it at a young age. Out of curiosity, and it's always going to be one of my favorite television shows of all time. So thanks so much again for watching. I promise there is some more Friday the 13th content coming up, focusing on everybody's favorite slasher, Jason, and I hope everyone will stay tuned for that, and I hope everyone has a great day. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. Thank everyone for taking this time to drop by the Horror Zone. It really means a lot to me that people are supporting what I do here. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button down below. I upload videos at least once or twice a week. It would really mean a lot if people would spread the word about this channel. This is a passion of mine. I love the horror genre, and I'm really happy to share my love of it with all of you. So thanks so much again for checking it out, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.